Okay, the strategy that I chose to focus on was the manipulative strategy, and my content area was math. So basically, what the manipulative strategy is it is a way to implement manipulatives into whatever lesson that you're teaching. And what a manipulative is it's an object which is designed so that a learner can perceive some mathematical concept by manipulating it. So the use of manipulatives provides a way for children to learn concepts through developmentally appropriate hands-on experience. I think that the whole hands-on experiencing is especially important for English language learners because I think any kind of visual for them is a lot better just because maybe their English isn't as strong as others. So just sitting and listening to a teacher lecture and go over example after example on the board when they might not be fully understanding the language isn't going to help them as much as them actually having that hands-on experience while doing the examples together. So manipulatives can be used in a variety of different ways in math. So they could be used in base 10, they could be used with money, they could be used with decimals, with place value. There's so many different ways that you can implement manipulatives into your math lessons. So the first step in manipulative strategy is to identify concepts to be taught and always represent them. So first you're going to have to figure out or create the lesson that you plan to use with manipulatives representing your examples. So you have to plan your lesson first and make sure that you implement those manipulatives into the lesson before you plan on teaching it. The second step is for you to demonstrate and explain. So before you just, you're going to demonstrate and explain how to use the manipulatives for examples, and also you're going to explain kind of how the manipulatives apply to whatever lesson that you're teaching. So for example, say you're teaching a lesson over adding and subtracting decimals. Maybe a manipulative that you could use for that would be money. So you could explain to the students that maybe the nickels and dimes could represent your tenths and hundredths place, and then your dollars could represent the whole numbers. So just implementing those manipulatives into whatever lesson you're teaching. The third step is to provide guided practice. So before you just give them the manipulatives and let them go with it, you need to kind of go through how exactly to use the manipulatives and how they're going to apply those to the lesson before they do it completely alone. The fourth step is give students additional time and additional practice. So after you do your guided practice, you need to make sure that you give the students a chance to do and use the manipulatives individually, so they really get a chance to think about it themselves and apply it to whatever examples that you're doing. And the last step is to celebrate and review. So you need to be sure and make it a positive experience. You need to celebrate the new connections that were made through the manipulatives and review what the students found helpful through using these manipulatives so that they'll want to use them again. Okay, and then my second strategy that I'm going to talk about is modeled talk. So modeled talk is the verbal explanation and physical demonstration of directions or concepts. So gestures and modeling provide examples for English language learners to follow and lower learners' anxiety since they know exactly what they're supposed to do because they've actually seen them modeled before them. Let's see. The purpose of this is to give ELL students something visual to refer to in the classroom. So maybe you have a poster of some steps that they're supposed to follow posted on the wall for them to see. So maybe it's something that you do frequently, like cut papers out and paste them into their journal. Well, they might not understand when you just say, I want you to cut your papers out and then glue them in your journal. So having steps up on the wall, maybe having a picture of scissors so they know that that's when you're cutting, or a picture of glue so that they know that that's the step after they cut, you know, just to kind of relate the picture to the words that you're saying. So the steps for this are, the first step is to identify the lesson and gather materials. So first you need to identify the lesson that you're going to be teaching and gather the materials that you need for the lesson. You need to have examples in various stages of completion, and you also need to figure out exactly what you're going to say and how you need to design gestures that will help students understand exactly what is expected of them without them having to rely on the knowledge of English that they have. So you need to plan, gestures that you can use throughout the classroom so they know kind of what's coming up next. They know if they're doing good, they know if they're doing bad, that kind of thing. The second step is practice your modeled talk. So you need to have what you're going to say. You need to have the kind of gestures you're going to be making for your modeled talk. So a good way to do this is to be practicing in the mirror. So you know what you need to work on or what's good, and just go from there. The third and the final step in this is to design a visual of directions. So this is when you actually need to design the visuals that will be hanging in your classroom or be on your computer, wherever you're planning on putting them. These are for ELLs to be able to look at any point in time to know what comes next in their sequence. So this is especially helpful if this is visualized with something that they must do multiple times. So, for example, there might be a sign on the wall. Say you need to know if students are understanding something or not. So you might say, like, 1, you don't understand it. Hold up your number 1s if you do not understand. Number 2s if you kind of get it, but you need some more help. And number 3 if you understand it completely and you can teach it to someone else. So they might not understand if you just say it, so having a sign up on the wall that maybe has number 1, have a sad face, like I don't understand. Number 2, make it a little bit happier so they know that number 2, you kind of get it, kind of don't. And number 3, have a happy face so they know that that means that they're understanding it and they can move on. So the purpose of this is to give English language learner students something visual to refer to in the classroom. So this is important so that they're not relying solely on their knowledge of English. They have visuals to look at, especially with sequencing or when you have specific gestures that you do to symbolize what the student should be doing. So like I said, instead of them having to rely solely on what they know of the English language, they have different things to look at around the classroom to kind of guide them and help them develop more of that English language that they're needing to develop. So, thank you.